every patch of grass has the potential to become a skyscraper. All it needs is to be put under construction. Welcome back to yet another epic episode of Under Construction SA. I'm your host, Thuso Motsomane, and thank you for tuning in. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you know what to do, guys. Go down there, click on that red thing that's written subscription, and subscribe. Another thing you can do is like if you like the video, if it's entertaining. If you think it's valuable, like. I'm not going to force you to like. But at least, click on that notification button so that every time we drop an episode, you are notified. Today, we have a very, very special guest, award-winning content creator who has a Diamond Award, a TikTok star, MC, voiceover artist, radio host, and as well as an actor. I'd like to say, Mpetu, I'm a huge, huge fan. Tiisetso, welcome to Under Construction SA.
What? That deserves a No, that was beautiful, my guy. That was so beautiful. Thank you so much.
Man, thank you for coming on, man. We're looking forward to having a beautiful conversation with you. But to people who don't know who you are, who have never met you, or who know you have met you through your content and through the screens, radio, whether voiceover artist 3, who don't know the background, where you come from, who you are, can you please explain a little bit about yourself and tell us those little things about where you are, where you grew up, stuff like that?
So, Tiisetso Masike is just a Tswana boy that started off with a weird dream in grade 9. And I remember I was leaving school and I was staying in Mafikeng. I was born and raised in Mafikeng. That's why I went to complete my middle school before I moved to Rustenburg to complete my high school. And then I went to Witbank in Mpumalanga to complete my grade 11 and 12. That's why I matriculated in Witbank. And I remember back in Mafikeng, there was a time whereby I was leaving grade 9 and I was walking to the SABC to go and ask for a job at Motsomane FM. And I remember I walked in there. I was very clueless. I did not know what radio is all about within the studio, but I knew that in radio we speak. And since then, that dream has lived with me throughout my whole entire existence. And then I went on to develop interest in TV. I went on to pursue my interest in radio. When I was in Witbank, I joined this other radio station called Emalahleni FM. I remember the station manager. I walked into the station and it was a Zulu radio station. And I walked in with my Setswana mixed Zulu there. My Zulu was great. And I told him that I want a job. And I remember he asked me, what kind of a job do you want? And I said to him, I want to do radio, right? And I could see the confusion in his face, but he could also see the passion in me for the fact that I was able to walk through those corridors and walk through his office and sell myself. And that's where I started off my career. And then after matric, I went back to Mafikeng because throughout my matric year and my supposed to be first year of university, my mother lost her job. We were going through a very terrible time in our family. We lost our house, we lost our car. And I had to move back to Mafikeng to go stay with my grandmother and my mother, because my mother had then left Rustenburg to go stay with us in Mafikeng because the house was gone. Her job was gone as well. And that's when I decided, you know what, I'm not going to just sit at home. Yes, I can't afford to go to varsity at that point in time, but I am going to pursue my studies, because remember, this is the guy that matriculated in one of the most elite schools in the country. And I can't just be sitting at home. And then I decided to go to another college in Mafikeng. It's called Tiisetso College. That's when then I went to complete my first diploma. And throughout that phase of my life, me completing my diploma, that's when I went into serious fasting, went into serious prayer. I was serving in the house of the Lord, worship team, cleaning, personal hand to the pastor. Listen, I was serving in the kingdom of God, and doors started to open for me. That's when I joined a competition, a presenter search competition for a radio station, a commercial radio station in the Northwest. It was then called Northwest FM, but then now it's called UFM. And I went through the stages, and I promise you, I was cruising throughout the competition. And that's when I went to get my first ever commercial radio gig. I did that for a year, and then God continued to increase me. I grew now from radio to TV, my first commercial, being appointed the brand ambassador for DSTV, joining this random app called TikTok, of which made me who I am today. And listen, man, God has been so good to me. I'm the only child ekaya, raised by a very strong, prayerful single mother. Listen, she's my hero every single day. And of course, supported by also my grandmother. She's also a single mother as well. And I could say they've done a wonderful job with me. Hey, they've done an amazing job, an outstanding job, actually. So yeah, man. That's the bit I can tell you of who Tiisetso is. And the journey still continues. The story is still gonna expand. It's only the beginning of this wonderful book. And listen, man, it's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be a beautiful story.
You know what I feel like? I feel like you've said everything. We can go. All my questions are answered. Like all my questions are answered. I'm like, yo, this guy is answering my questions. But it's
Yeah,
just
so the
only the
interview done.
beginning.
I can so much talk.
So can I ask you a favor before we continue? Like,
Yeah.
I think your camera, can you just change it a bit and take it? Because if you can see, it's gonna affect when we take it. Yeah, better high. Yes. Yeah, thank you very much. So, man, yo, there's so much you said, and there's so much I want to ask you. People who talk, that's the thing. They drop so many jewels. They're like, where do I even start? What do I even ask? Because you said a mouthful, you said a lot of things that piqued my interest. Which one of them is you don't know what you spoke to being a go-getter, you didn't even know in grade 9, you didn't know what radio was about. But you were like, you know what? I'm going to do this thing, I'm gonna do this radio thing, I'm gonna just pursue, I'm just gonna start, I don't know how, but I'm just gonna do. And you speak to me for being a doer. And around construction, that's what you're about. Your story is very, very inspirational. But I wanna ask you about the time where your mom loses everything,
Yeah.
What did you think? What did that do to you as a human being? How did your life change? What did it improve?
Honestly speaking, that, and I'll never stop saying this because it actually was the most darkest point in my life. You should also consider the fact that, and then I'm saying this from the most humble point of view, I was raised within the soft life. I was raised well off. I went to private schools. I stayed in a very white community, stayed in white estates. Ke gotse ke iswa sekolong ka koloi. I had lunchbox money every day. I was actually the first in my class to have a BlackBerry, the phone, and going on to being that child, had the iPhone and everything. Going to that school, that was a top school. And then just when I finished my matric, and this is me thinking, yo, UCT, Baba, Savaya, I saw myself in the UK, I saw myself in America. Listen, and lights went off. Everything just went astray because my mother lost everything after she encountered a short illness. And praise the Lord that God blessed her with healing, divine healing at that. Because when I look at my mother today, because Mangam Bega Mai and the story that I could tell you, those are two different people. It's only by the grace of God. Because he said in his word that by the stripes of Jesus Christ we are healed, and I'm a living testimony of that. Having seen God in my life every single day. But I was going through depression. There was a point in my life whereby I felt like, maybe Melingbu Masalela, because this is a boy that really, really worked hard. This is the very same boy. This is the very same boy. This is the very same boy who was very obedient, who's very humble, very polite, always smiling. And I strive to make everyone smile. And then I ask God, why me going through all of my former colleagues at school, the kids that I went to class with, and the people are doing so well. And I was asking myself, am I the only one that's going through this hardship? And my God, I promise you, I went through a very horrible depression patch in my life. But then God being God, she blessed me with a very strong mother, with a very strong grandmother, with a very strong uncle, with
We can't hear you. I don't know what happened.
oh, okay. Am I
Yeah,
no,
now
I
I
had a
can.
call. I had a call, but I'm sorry.
It happens. I know it happens.
Yo, you do the editing there, Chief. You take the part where you must edit, you must edit. Yeah.
uh, so yeah, we'll try to do the editing. So because mental health and depression is a big thing right now, right? At the time you're going through this, are you aware that this is depression? Are you aware that I'm depressed, I'm going through a dark time, or you just didn't know? You just know that we lost some things, and I find myself here. Were you aware of that?
I think I was aware because of one aspect in my life, being exposed to, and I'm saying this as well as respectful as possible. I was exposed to how white people observe certain things. I was exposed to white people. And then I got the chance to learn this terminology called mental health. And, this was a conversation that was happening amongst me and my friends. And there was one of my friends, Brayton, and also
Mm.
I called him and I asked him, dude, I'm going through this thing. And it for me to say, me, I'm worry me, I think a depression. Probeer om te bid, me, probeer om a psychologist to gaan sien. And that for me became a conversation. Okay, this is a thing, I'm going through this random demonic phase of my life called depression. So yes, I was aware of what's happening. And in that way, I was aware of how to treat it. I was aware of the conversation to have also with my mother, because then I had seen throughout that phase that also my mother was experiencing depression, but she was not talking about it. So then we had to actually diagnose this together. We walked this journey together. We became best friends at that. We became super, super, super close, because me and my mother to this date, listen, we are very, 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 very great friends. And as much as that part of my life really brought a very dark phase, but it allowed me to not only elevate the relationship between me and my mother and my grandmother, because me and my grandmother, we talk like we're friends, as much as, yes, there's respect in it, immense amount of respect in it. But I talk to my grandmother, with so much freedom, because the level of speech, the freedom of speech as well, it's being elevated. I can talk to my parents, and I can actually vent towards them, and they'll give me advice. I can actually reach out to them and be like, hey, listen, today I'm really not doing good. Or, hey, listen, mom, today I did not wake up very well. I'm not feeling fine. And then you should have the time to sit down and you say to me, hey, Tiisetso, you want to breathe, you want to calm yourself down, go out, drive, go and get an ice cream. Or so the conversation changed as well throughout that aspect. And I'm very grateful, as much as then it did not make sense, but looking at how things turned out now, I'm actually grateful of what actually happened there. So yeah, you could say that I was very much aware of what I was going through.
Oh, that's a very interesting thing. But you were exposed, which, like you say, a lot of us who are in the Black communities, who are from impoverished backgrounds, don't have the privilege of what you had, the blessing of what you had, of being in those schools or being in spaces where mental health is discussed. But I think we're getting better. We're getting there as a
Yeah,
nation. The awareness
yeah,
is there and stuff like that. But I like what you said. You called it demonic. I want to leave it there. I just want to leave it there. I don't want to go too much. You called it demonic. I love
yeah,
that what you said. But you speak so much about your family and your mother, and I realized, maybe I'm assuming, but
yeah,
I realized you copy your mom so much in your TikToks, and we can really like like your TikToks are very funny, and when you do them, I think that for me to be a fan, it was because of this authenticity and the being able to relate. I
yeah,
could relate to that, and I think it's people who are able to kill it that I know. I'm not saying everyone else is not doing it, but the ones that I find myself drawn to nature because of the authenticity and the
yeah,
relatability is you. It was first you, and now I see Alfie as well is picking up the same thing. How,
Yes.
when your mother looks at your videos, the ones that you do TikTok, imitating her, what is she saying? What does she think?
So this is how best I can answer it, man. I believe that my content, as you said, embodies a lot of female influence in my life because I don't know if maybe this is unfortunate or fortunate, but I'm actually never got the privilege of having a father figure in my life. When my father found out that my mother is pregnant with me, he went to buy milk and he's still looking for the best milk for me because, guys, my father wants the best for me. Hey, he's still searching for the milk. You know, for his son. And I know that one day he'll come and say, my son, I found the milk. Get the milk. But that on its own, the influence, the female influence that I've encountered within my life, I always say that my content must always embody respect towards the female figures in my life. It must always show pride to
Wow.
how these people have influenced me throughout my upbringing, the conversations
Amazing.
I've heard, the conversations I've actually heard them talking about, from Kodi Pitong to Kodi Pitseng to Montung to when someone's daughter
Yeah.
is pregnant to how umfundisi akasitsheling imali yekhuleke to the fight at church to everything, right? But then the most important thing that I strive for every single time before I press that post button on my social media platforms is that there must be so much respect because it's not only about my mother anymore. It's about when you're looking at that video and you can see your mother in there. And then it's not Utelela per se, but it's because this is a conversation that you had, Maukula. There's a one video that I did that was about depression. In that video, I'm talking about how, and this was, the conversation I had with myself as well, because this is me having went through depression and, I'm having to go through this with my mother. And, certain parents, especially Black parents, they would actually have a different response to when a child says depression, because depression, depression,
True.
depression. And that is the conversation that I took in that video. But I had to make sure that I do not only spark a bad memory onto a consumer that's watching it Ekaya, but it was also a thing of having to ignite a conversation in someone else's house, in someone else's home. Man, Mama Yakubula used to say this to us. Or maybe let's say your parents have passed away and may their soul rest in peace. And you'd call your sister or your brother and be like, Ebona, look at this video. Yakumbula, oh Mama Begatin, oh Mama used to say this. And the way people that used to comment on my social media platforms and be like, I shared this video on the WhatsApp group, your family, and everyone was laughing because I want you to relate to it and not be like to your mother, yeah, you see, Nina, Black parents, you are the reason we are like this. Yeah. So then you are supposed to start certain conversations, have humor in it. And at the end of the day, whenever you finish watching my content, you must be able to say, Mara, at least I'm not the only one that's going through that. There's actually comments that I've seen time and time and again on my socials where people would say, we actually have the same mother. We actually have the same parents. Because I want you also to realize that we all go through that. We all encounter certain responses from Abazali. We all encounter certain things. So certain times whereby my mother sees my videos, she knows that maybe 10% of the time, not 90%, 10% of the time, it is what she said to me, Mankula, or it is what she used to do when I was growing up. But then she would find humor in it and not find mockery or not find udelela or not find scam or I'm trying to be better towards her and everything. So we do see humor, we do laugh about it, and she'd be like, "I want to papa. I used to say this. This is the one saying." And then we'd have laughs about it.
Wow, I like the fact that I never thought of it that way, that there's a purpose to it, where you are trying to spark conversations within families about certain things. And I never saw it that way because I find it humorous. I'm one of those guys who say, I can relate, that even if it was not per se my mother, but I grew up in a community of Tswana people with my grandmother.
Yes.
So I would see this in my community. Like, this is how just the Black parents of back then used to react to situations. And I think we find it very funny because it's like, we grew up, we feel like we grew up in the same household. And then for for social media, making us realize that, you know what, our stories are very similar. And
Yeah.
you spoke about respect as well, respecting the women and making sure that even in your contact, that consciously making sure that it's not degrading towards women. It's not gonna,
Yeah.
offend people who their parents are deceased. I respect the way you think and the thought process. Like, it's not just I'm trying to joke and go viral, but there's a thought process. There's a purpose to everything. And today I'm grateful that people who are watching get to learn that let us not just do things for the sake of doing it or
Yeah.
sake of going viral, but let's have a purpose. Let's try and spark, even in our jokes. Let's try and get a message across, and let's in a world where women are not really respected, and there's GBV, and you coming
Yeah.
and raising and say, you know what, I don't want to bring I don't want to make Black women look bad, but this is just me trying to say I'm going to do it respectfully, but at the same time I want to spark a conversation around
Yeah.
parenting. For us as the young kids or young adults, wherever you are, to have a conversation with our parents. But another thing you touched on, Linda, I know I'm talking too much. This is your interview. It's the issue of not having a father figure. I've had a privilege of, I think it will be a month now, meeting of my father. I actually contacted him, and for me, I've been blessed enough, when you speak, you just reminded me, I've been blessed enough to have spoken to him and reached out to him. And when I see him, he's reflective and he regrets and he's in a different space. And I'm glad I met him at a space where he has told me what he has been through, what he has done. And he doesn't, one thing I appreciate about my father, he doesn't blame anyone, my mother or anything. He took full blame. I didn't even have to ask him anything. He just started speaking, And yeah, man, you just reminded me, and I pray that you get to finally meet him if you haven't met him, and have that conversation and see how it goes, so that we can deal with a lot of curses and a lot of and undo a lot of mistakes, of the past, So speaking about the TikTok, spoke about TikTok, spoke about it. It's heavy today, it's funny, it's heavy. But I want to know, Tiisetso was in obscurity. Now you are all over. You are seeing DSTV commercials, Mzansi Magic, YFM voiceover, TikTok is booming. I want you to take me, because a lot of people always come and say hard work. I don't think that's enough. Yes, I respect that you work hard. I know that you work hard. But I want to know, what are some of the steps that you took? How did you position yourself? What did you do practically? So that some of us can learn and say, oh, okay, this is what I do. Because when you say hard work, a lot of people are working hard, but they're not strategic. There's no strategy to the hard work. So I want to know, what was your strategy and how did you end up where you are today?
First of all, this hard work advice is nonsense, and I feel people should stop telling people to work hard. Keep on knocking, China. Keep on pushing, China. That is nonsense, because sonke siyanoka. We make calls every day. We send emails every day. We are walking through the streets of Joburg every day. We're walking through the streets and we're trying to hustle. So I've always believed, and I still stand with the fact that this hard work hard, keep on pushing advice is total nonsense. So with me, 99.999% of who I am today and what I am today and the brand that I have built today, to be honest with you, it was through grace, and it was honestly through the mighty Lord. It was through how God has favored me and how God continues to do great things in my life. But it also goes back to discipline, my guy. It goes back to how you structure yourself as an individual and how you structure yourself as a brand. It also goes back to the goals that you set for yourself, and it goes back to how realistic you readjust your dreams and your visions. Because yes, I might have started off at SABC knocking on doors. I did not get the job, but it also goes back to how I have become consistent within who I wanted to be today, it also goes back to me having a plan. Because, for example, I'm just going to take TikTok as an app. Ne? You said something quite important about how I do not degrade women. And me having this line of my content and me taking this path within how I deliver my content. I don't say other content creators out there degrade women. I'm not saying that. Do not hear me wrong. And then Black Twitter, don't hear me wrong. I'm not saying this. What I'm saying is that I chose not to wear certain wigs or wear certain clothes and, be a certain way or something, because the women in my life they do not dress like that. They don't have those wigs. They don't behave in that way. So in that way, I had to sit down and tell myself, how does Tiisetso deliver his content out there? Now, what is that? Authenticity. Because there are so many content creators out there who do what I do, and they do it beautifully at that. But I had to now see, how do I become that 1% different, correct? And another thing with aspects to who I am in regards of TV is because it goes back to who do you talk to. I always say this to people, and I also mean this as respectful as possible. Whenever you are invited to an event or whenever you're invited to a room that is with celebrities, the people we see on TV, but also has your back behind the scene people, your directors, your executive producers, your commissioning editors, your casting directors, your casting coordinators. When you get into that room, you are not going to network Tiisetso that you see on TV. Those are the last people you want to talk to, because those people are there for the same reason that you are there for, to look for work. They are there to network as well. So normalize reaching out to people that are behind the scenes. Normalize whenever you are watching a TV show that you love and you aspire to be on. The show is not your main focus. It's just for entertainment. Your focus is that 1 minute or that 30 seconds of credits at the end of the show. These are the people that you're looking for: the executive producer, the creative producer, the director, the casting coordinator. Those are the people that you are looking for, and the commissioning editor. Those are the people that you're looking for. You are going to go Google them, try to find them either on LinkedIn, on Instagram, or on Twitter. If you are possible to reach them and find them, try to send them a message. Tell them who you are. If you're able to find their emails, do that. Reach out to them and be like, hey, listen, this is Tiisetso Masike. I've done 1, 2, 1, 2 and aspire to do 1, 2, 1, 2, and 2. I align my brand with yours, and I feel that I'm the ideal candidate to be the next phase of your show or to be the next phase of your company. Those are your focus people. When you reach about Tiisetso and Nama celebrities, those are not the people that you're looking for. If you want to be in radio, the person you're not looking for is not the person on the show that already has a show, the radio presenter. That is the last person, because lo muntu uyasebenza. So the moment you reach out, you might be a third because they might see talent in you. So that's the last person that you want to reach out to. Your focus is the programming manager in any radio station. You find who the programming manager is. You try to find their LinkedIn. If maybe they've locked their messages, you try to reach out to the radio station and you try to find their email. You record your demo. You send your things to them. Boom, boom, bam. They might get back to you and you might have a show. So always consider who you reach out to. And this is in the media space. It's like me, for example, when I want to go teach at a certain school, I will not go to a teacher and be like, no, I'll go to the principal, I'll go to the HR. So even in the media space, there is HR. This thing of DMing our celebrities and be like, that is number one, very disrespectful, because that means so you need to observe the right protocols and you need to observe the right channels of communication, because I never feel Jose give me maybe because maybe that time why would I tell you about our audition? Because now 3 months I've not had an acting gig. Imali yapela from the last acting gig, and I'm starting to drown. Gumati, boy, you njani bafu? Akufakani la, asifakani, hakuna,
Man, you dropped valuable information, and I think you speak to what under construction is about. we're trying to get it. One of the pillars of Under Construction SA is we want to inform people. One of what that, and you dropped knowledge to say, bro, go DM, go focus on. I never thought of it that way. Although I do DM, LinkedIn, whatever, but you've showed me another thing to say, no, man, don't focus on the celebrities. There are people behind the scenes. There are the executives that you want them to know your name. And those are the people you need to talk to, And I love the fact that you spoke about authenticity, your word, setting yourself apart, because that's one of the things in terms of content creation or in any field, that what sets you apart, because that's what makes you valuable. That's what makes you usable. You have to have that one thing that makes you unique, and that makes you be wanted, rare. Anything that is rare is the one that everyone wants. But if everyone has it, then there's no need for people to, if you're doing whatever everyone is doing, we don't care. We're not going to look at you, right? So, valuable information. Valuable.
And this is what I mean when I talk about trying to set yourself apart from everyone, because maybe to the viewer at home, they might not understand what I was trying to say. Here's the best way I think I can simplify it. The same way there's multiple DJs, there's multiple hip hop artists, there's multiple rappers, there's multiple amapiano artists out there. We still get new amapiano artists that we tend to love because it is how they write. It is also how they represent themselves towards the public, and it is also how they hold themselves as a brand. So yes, there may be a lot of amapiano artists, but that doesn't mean that we can never ever discover new amapiano artists. Even with me, you might be doing the very same content as I'm doing, and whenever you feel like you're not getting the same attention as I'm getting. But it also goes back to Tiisetso. How does he present himself to the public? How does he come across to a consumer out there? Is it the words that he uses? Is it the language that he uses? Is it the length of his video? Is he using humor? Or is he maybe using a certain angle of approach in terms of deliverance? So it goes back to the little small aspects, even the things like maybe Ukoga in a certain way, or maybe for me in my aspect, using different characters. Next.
So, hey man, you are giving us valuable information, and I hope people are taking notes. And most of all, more than taking notes, is people really applying themselves and going out there to do this, and really rethinking and setting their goals, like you said, thinking about vision and purpose. I'm big on vision, purpose, and doing what you love, and at the end of the day, being, like you said, authentic, authenticity, So yeah, you're dropping valuable information, like I said already. I want to ask you, man, in your short time, your short time in the entertainment industry, what has been the most painful experience, and what have you done to sort of overcome it?
It's not been short, my guy. It's been 5 years. It has been a long journey. It has been a very, very long journey for me. Listen, 5 years since trying to make it in, getting promises, losing things, audition after audition. I've been to multiple auditions. I've been to multiple presenter search auditions. I've been to multiple radio stations trying to knock on doors. I've got 3 radio gigs. So it's been 5 years. I'm not only starting now because of TikTok. And I think, that's the problem. People tend to assume that because, they only found out about me on TikTok and on Twitter and on Instagram, then that's it. Oh my God. I've been.
No, I don't think people look at it that way. I think it's like even in hip hop, right? They start counting your years on when you really blew up and became a national treasure. They don't speak about Casper before Tsolofelo. They speak when they say how many years have Casper been in the game. They count from Alba Tsolofelo, but he's been there before Tsolofelo. He was doing those features with Double HP. He was doing mixtape and stuff like that. But they start counting from Tsolofelo and up, because that's where he blew up commercially. I don't think they're saying it's lightly and stuff like that. They're looking, when they say how many years have you been in the industry, they mean like mainstream, So I don't think they're looking down on that. Well, that's the logic they use. So yeah, but you can continue.
What is your question again?
My question was, what has been the most painful experience? Because you say it's 5 years, what has been your most painful experience in the entertainment industry, and what have you done to overcome it?
So, the most painful experience, I'll only mention three, right? The most painful experience since I've joined mainstream. So the first one is the last audition that I went to before I became who I am today. And it was for one of the famous music channels. They're looking for a presenter and everything. And I remember I got to the first round, then I went to the second round, then I went to the third round, which was now the judges round, right? And I remember I got in there and I shared my link, and there were three judges there. And I remember the female judge sitting in the middle asked me, "So what do I do for a living?" And I remember I said to her, "I'm a teacher." That was then I was still teaching back in Rustenburg, right? I told him, "No, I'm a teacher. I work in Rustenburg." And I remember she said to me, "Stick to teaching because TV is not for you." And I remember I drove back home very heartbroken, because there were many ways to tell me that you're not good enough, or maybe saying to me, "No, thank you, keep on trying." But for you to say that to me at a specific time, it really did hurt me. And I remember I was driving back home. I'm from Johannesburg, driving to Rustenburg, and I was crying, praying loud gospel in the car. I was worshiping and speaking in tongues throughout the way. And when I was entering Rustenburg, there's a huge cross. People that know the way from Gauteng to Rustenburg, there's a huge cross on the mountain. You see when you enter Rustenburg. It was that night. And I remember I saw that cross and I said to God, "What now?" And I remember the Holy Spirit said to me, "You keep on going on." And then I had a conversation with myself, telling myself that, "You know what, I'm not going to give up." Yes, maybe in that specific moment, yes, in that specific time, I was scared, I was frightened, I was shaking, but that does not make me less talented, or that does not mean what she said was true, that, I don't deserve to be who I am today. And the second one, it was after me getting that radio job. Remember the whole commercial radio station that I told you about and everything, wada, 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 wada. And I pushed that throughout the year. And I remember through that, at each and every beginning of the year, they renew contracts. And this is me thinking, you know what, Tiisetso, man, you got yourself a commercial radio show. Now you're going to go from graveyard slot. I was doing 12 to 3 midnight weekends. And I thought to myself, you know what, I've worked hard, I've been disciplined. I think maybe this time they're going to give me maybe a show, maybe during the week, or maybe they're going to give me a new time slot and everything. And HR called because they were renewing contracts. It was around that month of people getting called in and out, people getting new contract renewals. And I remember it was my time now. I went to that office. And when I got there, I was told that my contract is not being renewed. And without even asking why, I remember I said to HR, "Thank you." Right. Heartbroken as I was, I stood up and I left. I left the radio station and I told myself, and I was crying at the parking lot. I think I was there for 30 minutes. I was crying. I was very heartbroken. And I asked myself, "Tiisetso, man, you're trying. This was your big break. This was supposed to be it. You're finally in, my boy. What happened when they, right?" And, I kept on asking God, why, why? And the last painful thing that I'm able to share with you, comfortably to share with you, it was when I was almost at the verge of getting a telenovela acting gig. I remember they called me on Tuesday and they said to me, it's also on Mzansi Magic, and they called me. It was on a Tuesday, and then I took an offer from Msebenzini. I drove to Johannesburg on the Thursday, and I was supposed to be a schoolboy in it. And I remember, listen, I was in a uniform. I went all out for that character. I went all out for that character. And I was there 30 minutes before. I was ready. I was on set because they auditioned me on set, right? And this is me thinking, boy, sitting with this, I'm saying to myself, yeah, this is it, bro. God, I'm in, Pagat. And I went into that audition room and they were impressed with me. They kept on telling me, "Listen, you're doing so well. We love you. You take instructions very well. We'll talk to you. We'll call you soon." And this is me thinking, you know what? I got it, man. I got it. And I got a call and they said to me, the producers decided to change. So they're no longer going with me. And yeah, that was painful. And I know maybe that's part of the journey, one would say to me, but it was really painful because, you know, when you see your dream and when you see the beginning of the journey you've been praying for, and just like that, literally just like that, everything is hopeless, everything is gone. Yeah.
Yo, man, damn. Especially with that first thing where you were doing an audition and they said you must stick to teaching. God, people can be horrible out there. People can be really horrible. Yo, like,
It's
damn.
part of the
But this
journey,
speaks,
it's part of the industry,
yeah,
man. It's part of
I
the
was about to say
industry.
that this speaks to the journey, you know, for people to look at, not look at you and think you've had it easy. Because one of the things I hate about South Africans, right? I
Yeah.
always argue with my friends, is they'll say, this guy just boy, he has money, as if the money grew on trees, you know.
Yeah.
And we were having an argument about one of my favorite, or my favorite rap actually. Who cares? Man said we have money. I'm like, Casper didn't just grow up having money.
Yes.
Oh, oh, yeah. I also got a call.
Was it a call?
I also got a call now. I don't know who it is, and shucks. I hate
Yeah.
this. I should have put it on Do Not Disturb. I should have put it on Do Not Disturb. But well, and people make it seem, even with myself, you know, I was having a conversation with a couple of people at church, because I do go to church, I believe in Christ as well. And
Yeah.
we're like, but so when people love you, I'm like, guys, do you know that it was not always like this? Do you know that
Yes.
people didn't just grow up and like me? You think that you think I just, but when I just say you do, I'm like, people make it seem as if you just woke up and became lucky
Mm.
and you blew the silver spoon, right? And I think it's
Yeah.
important for people to hear such stories, to know that you didn't get it easy. You didn't just wake up and go viral on TikTok. You didn't just wake
Yeah.
up and be on a commercial. You really worked your socks off. You faced doors slamming in your face, rejection. And another
Yes.
thing, our generation needs to be toughen up and know that you're not gonna get one rejection in like, who, I'm depressed. I'm sorry. I know people do. I know depression is a real thing, but as well, sometimes we like wallowing in self-pity and say, after one rejection already you are crying and you're depressed and you don't want to go anywhere. I'm not taking light again of the pandemic, or of the illness, mental illness. I know it's a real thing, but sometimes people, especially sometimes young people, use it as an excuse to not move forward, you know. And I think that's where sometimes it angers me, right? But man, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing part of your journey with us. And I think it's gonna really, really, really empower a lot of young people, or a lot of people who are really trying to get into this industry that we are in. And speaking about you losing a job, right? You spoke about you lost a job on radio. One of my questions was gonna be like, don't you have, because you live in an industry that is volatile, like you can just, they give you a 5-year contract, you can just lose it like that. Like you don't know where your next bread is literally coming from. Don't you have fear of like, yo, one day everything is just gonna stop, I'm gonna run out of content, I'm not gonna be a star anymore? Don't you have those fears?
Um, I think the best response that I had to that question internally was to tell myself, Guti Chief, go to school. I'm your founder, go get your qualifications. At this point, I'm standing with 3 qualifications, right? I told myself, listen, Chief, mina ngeskila. Mina ngiyofunda. I completed my first diploma, completed my second diploma, completed my 3rd degree. And I told myself, Chief, mina, I saw it fit ukufunda and to have multiple qualifications. Uguti, whenever I try this thing and it does not happen, maybe manje iqala kamnandi. I don't know in the next 5, 10, 3 years, how is it gonna turn out? I don't want to be now stranded at the age of 35, at the age of 40, manje sengihleli because I thought this was it. but then it happens good, it's not it manje sengihleli ngikhamisile angazi ukuthi okay manje ke angazi ngibheka because yay sekunzima manje. So the decision that I took for myself, for me not to have that fear, and everything that I do within this industry, I do it because of passion, I do it because of hope and the dream and the goal and the vision. But to a certain degree, my fear is not as bigger as my dream because I'm backed up by my qualifications and mover. You know, or whenever someone decides that I'm not worthy enough for a TV show, because you know the gatekeeping in media is very, very real. The toxicity in media is a real thing. So honestly speaking, my guy, and I'm saying this as humble as possible, not decided Guti Nyofunda. I finished my qualifications. Whenever I go to bed every single night, there's a file that has my qualifications. And yeah, if maybe some director feels like Mina, I'm not good enough for their show, or I'm not good enough to be, I'm in the media industry, or I'm not good enough to do that, I need a chance because they are the deciding factors. Whether I like it or not, they are the gatekeepers. So I'll just take myself, I'll just take my reputation and the little bit of dignity that will be left in me at that single time, and I'll go submit a CV, I'll go look for a job, you know, and I'll work 9 to 5. Yes, maybe I might go through depression because, you know, as a creative and you're stuck in this room Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 a.m., doing routine work, it might depress you. But other than that,
I hear you. You are backed up by your qualification. I want to play devil's advocate for something that you said. You spoke about gatekeeping, and there's a lot of gatekeeping in the media, right? If I were to say that, but if you are talented, if you are good, there's no one that can gatekeep you. Case in
that's
point.
not true. That's not true.
Let me finish. I hear you. You answer me.
Finish.
Yeah. Let me finish. You answer me. You answer me. Case in point, Casper Nyovest. He's one of the most hated rapper in his industry. Everyone is going against him. Like literally, everyone is for the other camp. A lot of things are happening, but because he had a strong fan base, because one of the things that Casper has kept him is his strong fan base. Even when he was going through his flows, his fan base has been loyal to him. Wouldn't you say that if you are talented enough, and if you work hard enough, and if you take the right steps enough, no one can gatekeep you, especially because we are in a world of social media.
But then here's the thing, and I understand what you're saying. I really do understand 100% what you're saying. But remember, as much as we are in the face of social media, the very same social media that can build you is the very same social media that can break you or cancel you. Just a few weeks ago, I think it was a month ago, there's a stupid comment that I made on someone else's tweet. And this is me thinking, you know, I'm just going to take the humor route of it. But then I made that comment on a wrong tweet or on a minor video. And, you know, people that I don't even know, people that don't even follow me, even white people that I don't know, feminists, right? So someone screenshotted that tweet and they posted it and, you know, tagged all the people that are sponsoring me, tagged all the companies that I was working with, tagged all the brands that I was collaborating with. You know, people were commenting on how I should be canceled, on how I should lose my job. You know, they were tagging all the companies that I was working with and, you know, wanting to take the bread away from me. And I remember there on Twitter, you know, there's a few contracts that I've lost that very moment, like just like that split second, there's people that pulled out. Yes, some stayed, and thank God to them. You know, some people were able to see, Guti, you know what, this is just Black Twitter. We see that you made a mistake and we are staying with you. We are sticking on your side. But there were two brands that actually pulled out because well, they don't want to be associated with such, you know. It lasted for 2 days, that thing. And that very same social media that I choose to think supported me from the get-go is the very same social media that broke me, right? And yes, maybe that there are many followers, 42,000 followers, but then these are the people that I don't know, right? That were coming for me, attacking me. You know, I remember there was the one tweet, and that tweet I remember every single day. That person said, and I took a screenshot of it. I know who that person is, and every day, you know, I remind myself of, you know, there's someone out there that hates you with all their heart. And also the lady that posted the tweet, you know, I know who these people are, and I always remind myself that so there's people that really, really hate you and they don't want you to succeed despite of your talent, right? This tweet said, "I want you to get fired, Ninja." And that for me surprised me that, okay, so there's actually someone out there who doesn't follow me, who maybe is gatekeeping and keeping track of how I'm growing as a brand. And they really want to see you down. They really want to see you out. They don't care about your talent or how many lives we're impacting or how many people are entertaining. They just don't like you. So with Casper, yes, he has a very strong fan base that comes for him whenever he is going through maybe being cancelled or maybe scandals and everything. But unfortunately for most of us, especially content creators, for most of us, people just follow you for the sake of just seeing your content, but they're not there to literally stand for you and be like, "Ay, nahlanga nina. Nishubani, hey, lona namyeka lo." So it's a matter of, "Hey, yo, wenzeni? Bayamcancel, oh bakithi, oh nkosi yami, kanti wenzeni naye?" But then for them to come through for you, yeah, they'll be like, "Hayi mara naye kanti bakenzani? Ucala ukuphapha manje, imali seyangena, ucala ukuphapha." Yeah, but so it becomes that. So with our Casper, yes, Bona, maybe they have a strong fan base, then they can sort of ditch my gatekeeping. But for some of us, especially as small brands, hey, it's very difficult because everything you say wrong, everything you do wrong. You start a business wrong, you start a brand wrong, you try to expand your career wrong. Yeah. And then it's like you said, people think that we got everything easy. People think that, we are just cruising nicely because, yeah, this is the generation of social media. They're just getting everything easy. They're getting campaigns from social media. They're getting brand collaboration. So these ones think that money is simple. And it's not easy, guys. It's not easy. Maybe for some, it's easy. But for me, now, it's not easy.
Wow, man. I was just, like I said, I was just playing devil's advocate. I just wanted to.
Yeah, and I said, I really understand. I understand what you're saying.
Wanted to see how you're going to respond to that, because it's very important to look at things not from one perspective, but from another point of view. Like we put two sentences here and compare them and see. And people will make decisions and people will decide what they think of the conversation that we've had, right? And I would know little about gatekeeping in the industry, right? Hey, but actually I know there is. There is. Experienced it. But there is, yeah. Anyway, but I just wanted to put it that way, But we don't stop. We work hard, even though, like you said, other people don't.
We don't stop.
Who don't want you to make it. There are people who just want to put their friends on, which I'm not hating on. They've managed to build relationships and they're putting each other on. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna stay. For me, actually, that's one of the things where I saw people forming cliques, whether I'm in church, whether I'm like, I realized that kids in the rural areas, and this is what we do under construction. This is why I do what I do. For me, is to get to a point of influence where I can be able to say kids in the rural areas, give them opportunities and open doors for them. They don't have to be related to me because I've seen whether you go, what do you call you in an informal settlement, specifically rural areas because they're far from everything, right? I want to sort of, one of my visions is sort of to have them come to my house if they're looking for a job, if they're looking like, I want them to be part to see. Look, one of the visions I have, I think crazy. Let's say it's holidays, right? I bring some of them to, maybe I live in Johannesburg, I bring some of them to Johannesburg. I have simple at ETV. I'm like, I'm bringing 3 kids there. They're into what you're doing. They're gonna be working there for the rest of the holidays. Take care of them. And I take some, send them to wherever he has his business. I take some and I send them to a church if they're interested in church. I take some to spread them and give them the
That is a beautiful thing, eh? You must really aspire to reach that goal. It's a very beautiful thing.
Yeah, that for me, that's my passion, and that's why I do under construction. That's for me, it's all about opening doors. It's all about forming collectives of people from disadvantaged background and speaking and saying, you know what, let's open doors, let's be impactful, let's give those who would have never had an opportunity and open that door. For me, that I think that's my calling. That's what God has put. One of, not ultimately, but one of the things God has said, go into the entertainment industry or into this world to do. You see, so that's for under construction. That's what we are really trying to do. But this is not about me, man. On a lighter note.
No, but then honestly speaking, maybe you understand that that is what God has put in your heart. Please don't let go of that vision. Don't let go of that goal, because it's a very beautiful thing. You're going to help millions out there, and you're going to be praised one day. Might not be now, but eventually you'll be praised because of the beautiful work you've done for a lot of folks out there. Some of us need people like you in this industry. So don't let go. Keep it up.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, on another note, right, there's a favorite part of that I like on under construction, that it catches people off guard. I don't know how you're going to react to it. If you were to, if you were going to use a song to describe your life right now, which song would it be? And please sing the chorus for us.
If I was to use a song
to describe your life right now, where you at?
I'll firstly explain why I'm choosing the song. Then I will sing the chorus for you, I guess.
Yeah, not for me personally, but for everyone.
Okay, people at home, I'll sing the chorus for you. So the reason why I feel the song is very perfect to describe my life and my career now is because of what I've went through and what I've managed to conquer, and the journey which is still continuing, you know, from the whole Twitter scandal to the rejections, to the behind the scene rejections that I don't tweet about, to behind the scenes whereby I almost got a job, but then everything just, fell apart. So I don't know who's the singer, the original singer of the song, but it's a gospel song that says, "You saw the best in me when everyone else around me could only see the worst in me. You saw the best in me when everyone else around could only see the worst in me." Dun-dun-dun. One more time. Yeah. You saw the worst in me. Love that song. When everyone else around could only see the worst in me. Love that song.
What a powerful story, man. We've reached the end of our interview with you, which has been nothing short of amazing. Since I believe we just begun. This is the tip of the iceberg. I know you've been working for 5 years. You've been grinding, building the foundation. Being under construction, working behind the scenes when no one was seeing you. What do you look forward to the most?
The right opportunities, fair opportunities, open doors, bigger roles on TV, telenovelas, primetime slots on big commercial radio stations. At this point, I aspire to get into YFM as a radio presenter, and God knows how many emails I've sent. My God, getting on either Gomorrah or on The Queen or, on Generations on SABC1. I still love that show, and I really, really want to, get a chance there as well. Also pushing my own things on the side because I really want to tap into theater. I want to start making theater in the Northwest, touring the Northwest and having theater performances because we don't have that in the Northwest. I want to start also a media house in the Northwest that's going to, train actors, that's going to not only require the actors to move to Johannesburg, but for us to create shows in Rustenburg, in Mafikeng, in Plexdorp, anywhere in the Northwest, right? And create these shows, send them to television facilities in the Johannesburg, let them get aired on TV, So that's what I aspire to do, not only become what I aspire to be, but also bring a few people with me. Gents, let's do it, bring back comedy on TV. I think South Africans are angry because, we are seeing the very same thing. People are being repossessed of their cars. People are being confronted of umjolo. People are fighting for izindlu, zabazali. People are being killed on telenovelas. There's drugs. There's murdering. So bring back comedy. Have a prime time slot, maybe about 7 p.m. or 8 p.m., whereby there's actually a sitcom where people can sit and they can laugh. And I said this at the beginning of the year, and I'm going to repeat it again for the universe to hear. I also want to be the first Tyler Perry of South Africa. Create movies whereby there's different characters, one individual, write beautiful movies, hopefully make the movie industry in South Africa become an actual thing. You understand? Because the movies I've acted on Mzansi Magic, they've been beautiful and the response has been amazing. But then we can take these things to an international level. We can elevate things to Americans watching South African movies. The same way they can watch Black Panther, they can watch Ushaka Zulu, they can watch the Nelson Mandela documentaries. They can also watch us. They listen to Amapiano. That's a beginning of a great journey. Amapiano artists are performing in London, they're performing in the UK. Now we have to go as actors. About Thuso Baby, they're doing beautiful things out there, and we pray for them to succeed every day. And about Tiisetso, they're also coming. I'm also coming, guys. Watch out, because the dream is big, the vision is massive, the goal is outrageously big, and I'm coming.
Wow. Nothing short of an amazing interview. Thank you for coming through. What a privilege and an honor to have you. And I want to relay a story. I remember last year, I bumped into one of your videos, TikTok, because you're so authentic, and I was laughing. There's a friend of mine, his name is Lucas, he's also on TikTok. So he's from the Northwest as well. We met in Bible school. I remember after seeing, I sent the link to Lucas. I'm like, do you know this guy? This guy is very fun. And we started watching your videos together and laughing about it. And I think I sent to my other friend Simon, who's in Pretoria, and who I also met at Bible school. And for me, having you here just last year, I'm sending links to my friend. I never thought I'd have you here. For me, it's a big thing. It's huge. It speaks to anything it's possible. It speaks to,
Yes.
there's growth in under construction. It speaks to me as an individual, man. It affirms me. And I'm really, really grateful, first of all, to God. And thank you for coming. Even though I'll say this, I remember out of the blue, I don't even know where you found me. You followed me. I don't know if you are aware. And I'm like, why? I'm like, with my 500 followers in Yana, I'm following 600, 500.
Because I could see, this guy's powerful. This is a growing brand. I could see.
I'm like, wow, God. So, man, thank you for coming. And I just wanted to say that it's an honor and a privilege to have you here. And to those who are watching, every Sunday, 5 p.m., we here. Share the link, subscribe, click on the notification button. We were speaking to Tiisetso Masike, who spoke about his journey of becoming, or who was a chess boy, from being a chess boy to falling into depression, making stories which were inspired by women and being purposeful. Also, fighting rejection, being through the worst. And right now, who's building a valuable story that South Africa needs to hear, and a beautiful journey that we look forward to him growing. Now he's one of the top TikTokers we have. Now we see him on commercials. Now he's on radio. But we love the journey of him being under construction, and we believe he's still under construction. And we look forward to him becoming great. And this can be true of you. And for those who are watching, we hope you were inspired. We look forward to having you on the next episode. Thank you for watching. My name is Thuso Motsomane. What a privilege and honor was it to have this interview with Tiisetso. Bye-bye for now.